So, hello everybody, and thank you very much for being here. And today we are going to present Agricoltori del Chianti Geografico. How the word can give us an idea. Agricoltori del Chianti Geografico, it was the first wine grower community of the Chianti. We are talking about the three most important commune in Chianti Classico today. So there is Gaiole, Radda and Castellina, and in the 1960s, the community started this incredible collaboration between the different wine growers. Today we are connected with Giacomo Panicacci and Alessandro Barabesi, which will introduce us even better the winery we are going to show. What is important to say and to tell everybody that is important about the history of Geografico and what it means for Italian culture, but also maybe more important of what it was done by the Piccini family to avoid the failure of this important wine growers community. So today, Giacomo, if you want also speak with us a little bit about the history of when Piccini decided to invest and to make it again bigger around the world, this important estate.
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction, Raffaele. Thank you everyone for being here and paying attention to this interesting project. As Raffaele was saying, Agricoltori del Geografico was actually the first cooperative in the Chianti area. So in 1961, about 17 wine growers of the original Chianti area joined together and start to produce their own wines. By original area, I'm talking about the three oldest villages, Castellina, Greve, and Gaiole. Sorry, Castellina, Radda, and Gaiole. So back then, you have to think that there was only one main producer in the area, and was actually Ricasoli, Castello di Brolio, which is actually quite important brand. And so all the wine growers were actually not bottling their products, were selling grapes or wine. So they decided it was about time to join forces together, a way of promoting and protecting the reputation, the heritage of the famous wine region. It's a very similar story, with due respect, to what happened actually in Barbaresco, probably where the producer was Gaia and the cooperative was Produttori di Barbaresco. Similar to that story, the cooperative actually grew quite a lot over the years, and actually reached the top of the production of 4,500,000 tons of grapes in the 90s. It became a very strong brand both in Italy and the United States. Actually, we were talking before the beginning of this webinar among us, and as we say, there are quite a few people in the trade in the States remember this brand being over there for quite a few years. Unfortunately, over the years, actually the Geografico went a little bit into a struggle, financial struggle, probably lack of investments in terms of innovation, in terms of sales, marketing, communication, and probably some premiumization of the wines were not brought to the top. And that's when actually at the beginning of the year 2000, the company started to have some struggle, and the Piccini family decided to invest in the company. So the first move was for the Piccini family to enter in the management of the company in the 2015, and 3 years after actually moved to the acquisition. So just to give you an idea, Piccini family is a very popular, actually one of the most distributed wine brand here in Italy. It's very famous for the Piccini Chianti orange. It is more importantly is a local family, someone that is not just producing wine. They've got a very strong feeling, and they do care a lot about the environment and the social and the social stability of the area. So if Mario Piccini thought it was very important to keep the balance of the region. Back then, lots of wine growers were actually stopping to grow vineyards, and they were moving to the city, and that was actually a problem for the whole production, for the whole system. And so that's when they decided to enter the Geografico. When we enter in the management of the cooperative, only 15 wine growers were left, were still working with the cooperative. And so the first goal was actually to bring this community back together. There were made quite a major investment, and there was actually established cooperation with the bank to provide very quick payment to the wine growers. So these guys were able to bring the grapes to the winery and to receive payments pretty much straightforward. So we moved back from 15 wine growers to about 80 wine growers in a matter of 3 years, with the production now being back to about 3,000 tons of grape produced or vinified every year. So this was actually the first step, together with making sure that all the employees, the winemakers, the people in the office were able to maintain their job. And on top of that, they decided to invest further in human resources by hiring new skilled people. One of us being here, Alessandro Barabesi, technical director of Geografico Estate. And together with some very important collaboration, such as Riccardo Cotarella, one of the most popular, famous consultant winemaker in Italy, but I would say probably around the world. And further people like Marcos de Monego, first person to be both Master of Wine and Sommelier World Champions, to help us collaborate. In Alessandro will then explain further into the details of how it helped us. And of course, this was also support. We were supporting the Geografico with the sales and marketing team, so making sure that all the bottles, the main brands, were actually redesigned, paying great respect to the history of the brand and to the key points of the story of the brand in the territory. But we managed to rebrand the bottles and to use our distribution of the Piccini Group to make sure these great wines were able to make its own way on the main markets again.
Okay, Giacomo, thank you very much for this introduction. We needed to know, of course, more about it. And about today, we are going to taste 6 different labels. Do you want just introduce me a little bit when there was the opportunity to start to make Vernaccia di San Gimignano from Geografico?
Yeah, I will introduce, just a brief introduction to the 2 main reality of Geografico, and then I would let Alessandro to speak more into details of the wines.
About the wine.
Yeah, the headquarters of Geografico are actually based in Gaiola in Chianti. So historical part of the Geografico where high altitudes vineyards lay, and that specialized in the Chianti Classico production wines and premium Super Tuscan wines. During this story, Geografico was able to build another winery in San Gimignano. Borgo La Terra actually which is well stated on the front of the Vernaccia label, is actually the name of our winery around the medieval village of San Gimignano. which is specialized in the production of Vernaccia and all the main historical predation of wines from Siena. So Chianti Colli Senesi of the sub-region of Siena, of course, Governo, Tuscan wines, Vernaccia, and so forth. So the project of Vernaccia started back at the end of the 80s, actually. That was the first. So a little bit later compared to the Chianti Classico.
Giacomo, tasting this year during the Emprimer, le anteprime in Tuscany, in San Gimignano, I really found this wine among a bunch of other labels interesting because it's well done, it's precise, it's what's more important for me in a fresh white, young fresh white that you need to drink if you want young, but also you can go a little bit ahead thanks to the importance of the grapes variety. But it's about the freshness, the style, and the personality. I think maybe there is also in the last year something changing in cellar, because I used to taste the previous one, the 2018, and was actually a good wine. But to be honest, in 19, of course, the vintages, the really long, let's say, vegetative part of the maturation and the polyphenolic one, it was more interesting in Italy, and in particular way in Tuscany. And but also maybe there is also a touch of Alessandro in cellar.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will leave Alessandro to introduce to the wines. Our job in terms of sales and marketing was actually just rebrand, redesign with a modern approach to find the original paintings and files from the old geographical cooperative and get our design into the job to communicate a change in terms of quality. And about the quality, will Alessandro explain a little bit what's our philosophy, our goal.
Alessandro, could you please tell us more about this wine in particular way and the philosophy that there is behind?
Well, you're right, Raffaele, because this wine comes from another type of vinification technique. So when I ride in geographical wineries with the collaboration with Riccardo Cotarella, we decide to starting on the vineyards, so with the wine growers, to select the best grapes for this wine for Borgo alla Terra. So this is first of all an important thing. First selection on the vineyard. Then we apply on an ancient appellation, one of the older appellation in Tuscany, a modern technical of vinification. So softly, gentle pressure on the skin before fermentation and low temperature fermentation. We decide to go a little bit more with the fermentation, maybe 2, 3, 4 days more, but with low temperature, so softly. Then after the fermentation, we do a kind of batonnage, 1-2 months of batonnage on the noble lees for this wine. And I think that this batonnage you can find on the palate. So we have a richness on the palate and a kind of slightly bitter aftertaste that is typical from Vernaccia. So typical ancient, but with modern technique to do a little more, a step more on this wine.
Exactly, Alessandro. It's what I found it, to be honest. And is 100% stainless steel, right?
Yeah.
Fermentation and aging.
Yeah. We have a small project with Mario Piccini and Giacomo, but to integrate oak fermentation for a level up Vernaccia, but we are not ready
not now.
Not now. So,
not now. It's juicy and well done. And moving ahead, what do you recommend to taste in another label that we have in front of us?
Well, I want to taste now for the second tasting Contessa IGT Toscana 2018. Okay. I want to say something about the philosophy behind the Contessa project. Here in this tasting, we have 3 labels from Contessa di Radda. As Giacomo says, we changed the style of the label, maintaining the main core, the queen, the Contessa Villa of Radda.
Forgive me, which one of the two? Which one of the Contessa you're talking about?
The blue one, the IGT.
Blue capsule.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the philosophy behind this 3 label is to have a freshness, immediately the freshness, flavor, fresh fruit, and high acidity, because the acidity, I think, is very important to the shelf life of the wine. So high acidity and freshness. If you taste this wine, you feel fresh flavors at the nose, but in mouth is really sweet. So on the palate is sweet, but this wine is dry. So this sweetness, we can, for this sweetness, we use another type of vinification. So this is a 90% Merlot. Come from a small area between Gaiole and Radda in Chianti, like 400 meters of altitude, so quite high. Generally in Tuscany, the Merlot is peaking, the harvest is at the end of August, because you have to balance the acidity, the polyphenolic maturation, and the potential alcohol. In this area, we have we go to harvest the grapes at the middle of September till the end of September. So 15-20 days after the other area in Tuscany. That allow us to have an high acidity on the wine and a good polyphenolic maturation. That's why it seems sweet in the mouth. You understand me?
Exactly. Yeah, of course. And it's also well played, I think, with the acidic part. So it's a really nice and Mediterranean vintages, to be honest, is what I found in 2018, when the people know exactly when harvest and when cut the grapes and bringing a good quality. Also, if, let's say, you are strong in a brand, in a position like a Geografico, you can do this choice. I think, you know, there is a really exciting job you are doing well. It's well extracted, really well extracted, balanced, but plus there is something that also gives you the opportunity to come back on the glass. So about the juiciness and the personality.
That's it. We decide to put on market something like kind of baby super Tuscan, let me say, as Giacomo knows, to have something with the Chianti Classico Contessa. So something different, a Merlot in high altitude.
Exactly. It's not what, yeah, exactly as Alessandro said, it's not probably what you normally expect in terms of a Merlot from Tuscany that very often comes from the inland where there is scorching temperatures in the middle of the summer, or as often happens in Merlot from Maremma. Here we are at high altitude. I mean, Radda has got an average 450 meters, but can reach over 600 meters above sea levels. And the trilogy of Contessa di Radda is actually expression of the vineyards coming from mainly Radda and Gaiole in Chianti. So the idea was to keep this expression, to stay loyal to this historical brand. So, and just a quick word about the name. Contessa di Radda is actually a historical brand of the Geografico. This year being the 40 years, the 40th vintage of Chianti Classico Contessa di Radda. That's the next one we're gonna taste. And Contessa di Radda was actually a real person, an historical person that lived at the end of the 10th centuries. With actually this person, the Countess Willa, Countess of Tuscany, donated lots of territory to an abbey, Abbadia Fiorentina, one of the first abbey created in Florence. And actually she donated the whole village of Radda in Chianti, so it was part of the monastery, of the abbey. And actually a few years later, a couple hundred years later, Radda in Chianti will become one of the villages that are part of the League of Chianti, La Lega del Chianti, which actually were soldiers deployed by the Medici family to protect Florence from the Siena invasion. So during the war in between Florence and Siena, so it's a historical actually area. And of course, with these military buildings actually, and a village was created. And of course, the production of wines and grape became a very important part of the history and the economy of this area.
That's interesting. Thank you, Giacomo. And I would like, if it's okay for you, to move on and taste also the other two labels of Contessa di Radda, and then ask something to our guests and our professional from New York, if there are any questions about it.
Of course. As Giacomo says, the next one is Contessa di Radda Chianti Classico 2018. It's our queen. So in the past, Contessa di Radda was one of the most newer label in Italy, and everybody knows who is Contessa di Radda Chianti Classico. And for us, the mission was to respect this brand. 40 years of these labels, it's quite a big deal. And to respect this wine, we put on this philosophy only the things that I said before. So freshness, drinkable, acidity. This Sangiovese come from more or less the same area compared to the Merlot of EGT. But it's Sangiovese. So here we need a big barrel to aging. We use 100 hectoliters barrel for this Sangiovese because this freshness can be preserved only if the wood is not intrusive in the wine. So if you taste it, you can feel a classic flavors of Chianti Classico, but the mouth is continues this sweetness. So the aftertaste is longer, and you know you chewy the wine second after tasting. You know, what do you think, Raffaele?
No, you are describing really well, and I like it that you are describing your wine, because actually it's what I think. To be honest, respect to the previous one, this is much more Italian. There is something that it's really, how do you say, scalpitante. It's really exciting in mouth. It wants to go in different direction. It seems really bright and shining in your mouth. What I like it again is the energy. It reminds me a lot like also the orange juice, some different fruit skin and white flower. So it's gentle, but at the same time, it has also the tension of the acidic part of the fruit, but in a good ripe maturation and size.
for this wine, we do a long fermentation. We stay on the skins for 15, 20, 25 days. So depends about the vintage. For the 2018, we stay more or less 18 days on the skins. So this allow us to abstract all the polyphenolic situation, and the malolactic fermentation is very important, and we do it for all our wines in a cement tank, in concrete.
Okay.
So to construct the wine, like you know, when you run, you need after you need to just take your time, and the wine is the same. You have to take his time. For the next wine, the Contessa Reserve, this label is quite younger, because the first vintage that we do is 2012, but in 2015, for the vintage 2015, with the collaboration with Riccardo Cotarella, we changed the style of this wine. We wanted to do a high step on the level of this wine. So we start in the vineyard, because we start always in the vineyard, and we select grapes by grapes. It's a hand picking. The area is north of Radda, center of Radda, so a little bit on the northern east side of west side of Radda, and hand picking, and quite high potential alcohol, good maturation, acidity. Here we are a little bit less, because we need a body a little bit full, you know. And
sorry to interrupt you, Alessandro, but that's a very fair point that actually you said. It's about selecting grapes. I mean, what you expect normally from a regular cooperative, and there was actually the way it was managed Geografico. Most of the grapes actually are paid back to the wine growers, grape growers, just on an algorithm, a very simple algorithm, formula that's taking consideration the weight and the potential alcohol. Well, in this case, one of the changes was actually to select some specific vineyards, some specific sites, and some skilled grape growers to create some premium products. So actually, the picking date is not the first dates. Actually, you're able to reach a good amount of alcohol without risk anything because of the weather condition. You just bring the first day the grapes into the cellar. We'd actually follow, not myself, but actually Alessandro and our technical team, the process, the ripeness, the growth, with the growing cycle of the vines in the field. So we make sure that the particular grapes are picked the right day when it's actually right for us, and then we combine it together, few wine growers. This is part of a collaboration that actually always existed. We just made it a little bit more specific, or a little bit more technical, with the micro, exact, targeted for micro vinification, that allows us not to water down the quality, but actually to focus the quality in some high premium products, I mean high premium labels.
That's it. And well, for this wine, we can use a medium-sized barrel, 50 hectoliters, because this Sangiovese, with its full body, can be compared with the wood. You know, if the barrel is small, you have more contact with the wood. If it's big, you have less contact. This Sangiovese is adapted to do an aging time 18 months in big barrels. And I want to put your attention on the flavors. here we change the flavor. We feel a balsamic aroma. You feel like smooth herbs, balsamic licorice. So we move another type of wine. What do you think, Raffaele?
Yes, this why, according to you, is about only the vintages, or it's a combination of you know, different maceration, different wood, and then
you know, you have to find always every vintage a balance from what you expect and what you have, and every time you have to change your plan. Your plan. You can't have like
there is no receipt. No,
yeah,
of course.
You can't it.
Yeah.
The modern approach, the modern technique, say us to listen to the grapes, and take care about the grapes, not stress it, not put your inside the wine, but just leave the wine be himself. Like you know, take care about it to the vineyard from the bottle and after.
Okay.
So,
and again, coming back really quickly, so if I well understood, here we can say there are the best grapes among the wine growers, right?
yeah, the best grapes from the wine growers of Radda.
Of Radda, of only Radda.
Okay.
Perfect,
yeah.
Great.
Because we need this type of style, no? Changing completely area, we can pass to La Pedra.
Yes. I interrupt you really again. Sorry, quickly, Alessandro. If there are questions about this project, about Contessa di Radda, what do you think, guys?
Okay, so let me take 1 minute first, and then we decide how to go. I would like Giacomo to give us also an idea of shelf price for the 3 wines. Let's say the Vernaccia. So, and then we go ahead with David, Fabrizio, and Federico. A couple of minutes each. You can quickly introduce yourself to say what you do, because they are the restaurant people. And it's important to know if a Vernaccia is a wine that you put on the list and it never moves, and blah, blah, blah. Price is key. And we save Vito, Daniele, Alessandra, and Adam for after.
Absolutely. So I'm talking about suggested retail price today. I'm not actually following the USA market, but the suggested retail price, we're talking about $20 for Vernaccia. We're talking about $25 for the Contessa di Radda EGT 2018, $30 for the Contessa di Radda Chianti Classico, and $40 for the Riserva. So actually, I would say, well, my opinion is very subjective, of course. I would say very aggressive price for the quality. Why? Because we want to invest in this brand. As we say, we invested in the facilities, in the human resources, in the collaboration. We want to invest also in the quality. So say give extra quality to the people to help to increase the distribution. And we have just dramatic results in Italy, where our Contessa di Radda actually is now, we produced in 2018 with Alessandro. We managed to produce under 50,000 high quality bottles, and which is quite great if you think the previous vintage we managed to produce and sell 120,000. So it's a big increase. And that's thanks to the technical team that allows always us to find a better and greater amount of quality wines. And of course, I think to the faithful, loyal customers that are going back to buy these bottles.
We decided to jump the 2017 vintage for this label. So it's important for the quality.
Say that, yeah.
Yeah, which is quite an investment as well. And so decided for this premium range to avoid the 2017, because we thought the quality was not quite right. And so for this premium range, we completely avoid that vintage.
That's a really important message, guys, because, you know, it means you are getting your position. You are communicate something. You are saying, you know, I am on top of it. I want to be with the best of the nomination. I'm making a great wine. That's exactly good from you. So, Leonardo, do you want to ask something to also?
So pretty much, I would say, going with my calculation, basically, is good to give an idea. I think you could assume that the price for a wholesale for a restaurant, it will be pretty much half of what the suggested retail is, because we serve wine by the glass and by the bottle. So Fabrizio, you are a purist pretty much, you know, that's how I call you. I know that you like wines most of the time not blended and stuff, and in this case I think Chianti Classico, Vernaccia. I would like just 2 minutes, introduce yourself and your opinion about this first tranche.
Okay, my name is Fabrizio Gioras. I'm the beverage director for Ubica USA, and I oversee as well all the program for the beverage, all the group. 25 restaurants we have around the world. Unfortunately now everything is closed. Hopefully we're gonna be open anytime soon in New York first, and then Italy and UK, where there are other restaurants. Fantastic products, very well done, clean expression of Tuscany, I'll say. I'm surprised for the Chianti Riserva 2016. Well done. Very, very, very interesting. The Riserva is fantastic. And as well the Merlot, even I'm not an international kind of grape guy, is stainless steel 100%, right? What do you do? Okay. And the Vernaccia, it could be an interesting. I have Vernaccia by the glass before we close, of course, by the glass, and is responding very well. I mean, there is a lot of potential for this kind of grapes. And then being the only DOCG in Tuscany is very easy to propose to the market, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And also, I mean, before COVID, because now there are two words. One is one before, the other one is after. Yeah, before COVID, actually, we had lots of tourists, lots of people coming visiting San Gimignano, a little medieval village, but actually we had about 2 million plus visitors every year in this tiny village from Europe as well as from the United States. So that really helped to promote the wine production, to get people enjoying and getting to know this appellation, this area. And so, yeah, it's a product that actually sells out quite nicely.
Yeah. I think
Thank you, Fabrizio.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Fabrizio and Leo. So moving on, we can also taste one maybe of the most exciting denomination in US. It's Brunello di Montalcino. I know you guys are always in search of it. I need to taste the Brunello always before. It's not more about January when they go out on the market, but I need to taste in September or October to give our reflection, our comments, and our scores. So talking about the Brunello di Montalcino 2015, what you can tell us about, Alessandro?
Well, this wine is a nice project because we have also in Montalcino some wine growers, and the more or less 70% of them come from the northeast part of Montalcino. Everybody knows Montalcino, knows the 100% Sangiovese. In the north side, we have high acidity and quite not really regular tannin. You know, you need time of aging to have a fine tannin. But with the 30% more or less of wine growers coming from the south of Montalcino, so a little bit more sandy soil, pebbles, and blah blah blah. We find a hot and sweet body that combined with the northern part give us the possibility to have a wine ready after 5 years. If you talk about Montalcino, Brunello Montalcino, sometimes, many times, you can say that it's not ready. You drink it and 2 or 3 years more, and that will be perfect. For this wine, Geografico Brunello Montalcino 2015, the deal is to be ready after 5 years. But with the high acidity of the northern part, you have also a good shelf life and a good aging time in bottle, and you can taste it also after 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But our mission was to be ready after 5 years. And if you taste it, you can find my words inside. Because I think it's ready now. It's ready. So you can. I think it's good for a restaurant manager buy a wine that can sell immediately and not taking a cellar for 1, 2, 3 years.
It's always so affordable, you know, the wine Brunello, but even more in this tasting. What I really like, it's linear. It's a wine that doesn't go up and down, but even if sometimes in, you know, the hardest part maybe of the vintages, maybe to harvest them in a perfect time. When you have a little bit more land to growing grapes, you need to be perfect in time. You cannot really be wrong on one day, because it means you need to start to harvest maybe 2 or 3 days before. Then you are in the middle of the most quantity. You are already pick up the grapes and bringing in your cellar. And then there are 2 or 3 days more that you are harvesting. So needs to be focused, precise, really fast, and bring everywhere inside. What I really like, again, they are, what I use like a word in Italian is leggiadro. Leggiadro, it means they are light, let's say, but not easy wine. You can feel it that the wine are well done. There is also quite of opulence in the nose and then in the mouth, but it goes really smooth, and you want to come back. And I think it makes great this kind of wine.
Yeah, the idea is actually to keep the finesse of the wines. That actually links very well to what we're trying to achieve in Radda and Gaiole. It's a tradition because there's no over extraction, over ripeness of the grapes.
Not at all.
The 2015 vintage was relatively warm and delivered relatively powerful wines. But on the other side, it's modern. It's modern in a way that we, despite a long aging wood, we try to keep all the fruit. So the the resulting wine exuberant in the nose. It's, as Alessandro say, it's ready to be drunk once it's in the market. On the other hand, it's got the firm tannins and the nice acidity. Because of the selection that allows the wines to age pretty well in the bottle as well.
Great expression, guys. Keep going, because I think really I need to still every year make my job to tasting the wine in a blind tasting, but it's really exciting for me when there is a kind of this label that go out and really can make the comparison with the ancient, let's say, names in the denomination. I wanted to leave for the end of this tasting La Pevera, that is actually, if I well remember, is the last board in Geografico production.
the youngest.
The younger one, yes.
Yeah, La Pevera, it's a funny project because it's Mario Piccini, the owner of Geografico. One time when we discussed about wine, about philosophy, about what we want to do in the future and blah, 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 came to me to say, Alessandro, I want a very high Super Tuscan in Geografico. The only one thing I want is most part of it in Sangiovese. So the deal was Sangiovese, Super Tuscan, Chianti Geografico zone. So Gaiole, Radda, Castelnuovo Berardenga, and Castellina. Then after 1-2 months of tasting every day all the cellar, I arrived at a balanced wine. Then with Giacomo and Mario, we tasted together, and we felt that we arrived at 95% of quality that we want. We needed 5% more to be really top. And then Giacomo called Marcus del Monaco. Marcus, a very nice person, came without problem in Geografico wineries and did 2 days fully measured tasting with me to find this, perfect balance of the wine. This is the result. This Super Tuscan is 50% Sangiovese, 40% Cabernet, 10% Syrah. Syrah in Chianti Classico, it's not usual. All these vineyards are situated in the area between Castelnuovo Berardenga and Gaiole. So another kind of area compared with the Contessa. There we have clay, limestone, wines come from more potent. And I think this wine it's born like a funny things, but now for us is one of the topic of Geografico. I'm proud to be on the label of La Pevera.
Yes.
Really proud. And Giacomo, you want to explain what La Pevera means?
Well, La Pevera is actually a Tuscan slang word for the funnel, a wooden funnel that was used to fill up the barrels. And so that's something we found back in the geographical estate in Gaiole and Chianti. It was actually something that was produced we reckon in the 50s. So surely used at the beginning of the geographical adventure. So something we decide to bring back and make a restoration of it. And so the idea was to link this finding to this premium product. The premium product that links back to the original purpose of the geographical estate, that one's of promoting the important heritage and wine culture of the area. So they say, what a better way of promoting it with the super premium wines, and that's why we asked to join in the project Marcus del Monaco, that we asked him to fly down to Italy a couple of times to follow up the project.
That's really interesting and great wines, to be honest, guys. What I really like is also the personality to have the 50% of Sangiovese in this, let's say, international blend, but that you want to give a message outside. Then there is the 40% of Cabernet, like you tell us, and plus there is a tiny percentage of Syrah. I used to taste with many different tasters, and often, when you put something outside Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, you risk only to dilute the wine. This is not the case. and plus I think give you the complexity that well blended the blue fruit. That actually it's more about the Syrah. So there is also the nice part of Syrah. It was a great work, a great job of blending with the right percentage of the grapes. So there is the blue fruit, there is the black fruit, there is complexity. The wine are it's really deep in the nose and actually also on the mouth. It's really a nice project and the best way to end this lineup that you give us the opportunity to better understand what there is behind the name Geografico. There is history, there are people, there are belief in a territory, there is Radda, Gaiole, and Castellina. So we are talking of the best of Chianti Classico area. There is people who wants to dream bringing back this important name around the world. I'm really excited about the project. I'm happy to host this webinar because it's every day important for me to understand what there is outside and inside the project.
I wanted just to add a little insight for everyone, especially for Fabrizio, which is a purist. So we say we promote the quality, the heritage of the wine regions. Part of the project, something that is working in these days, Alessandro, is a project called I Terzieri. So I Terzieri was the name of the three villages that compose the Lega of Chianti. So of course, Terzieri means one third of the territory. So we're about to launch a range of 3 Chianti Classico wines that are made pure Sangiovese. Each one of them is coming from a different village, one from Gaiole, one from Radda, one from Castellina. And why? Well, because I think because we reckon the importance of Sangiovese, which is the structure gives it the structure of the Chianti Classico, but really it's part of the heritage of Tuscan winemaking. And a way of promoting the territory, because we want to show how the Sangiovese can express itself very differently depending of the location of the source of the vineyards, the disposition of the altitude. So that's something we're working on, and we're thinking to launch that in between late spring, beginning of summer.
Yeah, it was a really hard challenge to do this. But I think we can. Yes.
But you made it. You made it. This is important.
Yeah, a single vineyards, of course. So it's all tracked back to the specific wine grower, grape grower in this case, that should actually help us in this project.
I want to know something more, guys. Keep in touch because I want to be on the place and tasting with you as soon as possible. And Leo, if you think there is something we can ask more to Alessandro and Giacomo before to end our meeting, there is. I
would like everyone that hasn't speak to just dedicate a minute to say what's their feedback. Let's go by order, and what's their feedback and what do we think of this wine, especially in a time like this in New York, trying to get over a pandemic. What do I need to do the winery in order to succeed? And I want to quick say something about Daniele and Adam that you see here. Daniele, we were speaking before about Barone Ricasoli, and that's the company that as an importer he represents, and he's an expert on selling Chianti, and he was Frescobaldi before. On the other side, we have Adam, not only with a wife, they run a successful restaurant where they buy a lot of wines, but Adam represents Chateau Saint Michel, which is the current importer of Antinori. And I believe that competition only makes stronger, and interaction between people and producer only helps saying, okay, this is what I see needs to happen in order for upcoming winery. We understood that Geografico has a lot of history, but it needs to come back to the market. So it's important to know feedback from restaurant, Vito on the Street, Alessandra, and David that runs international wine program. So David, please, I want you first, and then everybody a couple of minutes. And
hello, guys. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, for the past 15 years, I've been running a few Italian restaurants with large, extensive selections, over 1,700 labels. For the past 3 years, I've been working mostly with international wines, putting together lists that are a lot of American wine, French, and obviously Italian. You know, when thinking about Chianti in general, Chianti Classico, you always think about wines with acidity, with a structure. You know, there's always this firmness about it, especially thinking about classic wines. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Really impressed here with Chianti Classico Reserva 2016. Fantastic wine and the potential. It's beautiful. Same with Brunello. Reminds me of some of the wines from Canalicchio de Sopra, perhaps, or Talente, who does different regions as well, but they're much leaner, you know, beautiful focused wines. I wanted to actually ask you a question. Doing a bit of a research, and perhaps this is mostly for Alessandro. I saw the wines from Contessa di Rada in this website called Tanino.
Yeah.
They sell it as a blend. There's a Sangiovese, Canaiolo, Colorino.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get maybe clarification on that one. That was one of them. And same with Merlot, if it's 100% of its something in there as well.
Well, actually, the Contessa di Rada Chianti Classico has 5% of Merlot inside. In the past, as Colorino and Canaiolo. At this moment, we changed with Cotarella with the 2016, and we put in 5% of Merlot to reach this sweetness in mouth and have a quite fine tannin. And the Colorino is an ancient type of vine in Tuscany, and we use it in a little part in Contessa di Rada Reserve. So the Sangiovese of Contessa di Rada Reserve doesn't need Merlot to be sweetness, and need Colorino to have a dark color. And Contessa di Rada Chianti Classico need this Merlot to have fine tannin. I don't know if I answer your...
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then with this beautiful Reserva that you have made, is there a potential to make a Gran Selezione, especially now that you're moving with a new project?
We hope so. We hope so. We are working on it. We are focused on the Gran Selezione. It's one of our mission to. I don't know if I can say, Giacomo, something about what we think about our Gran Selezione in the future.
Yeah, no, I would say, well, yeah, what I say about the Gran Selezione, for us, it's important as a concept, but not as probably as a term, as a mention. So Gran Selezione means that you take care of your own vineyards and you produce high quality wines for a certain specific area. So I think the answer will lay into the tertiary projects, the ones that I was saying before, which are 3 different single vineyards, which are Sangiovese 100%. The style would be not really Gran Selezione. I'm not sure if you can identify Gran Selezione with a precise style, but hopefully Gran Selezione is quite bold and structured wines, and that's what we are not going to do with the tertiary, but it's gonna be rather an expression of the terroir. So because we are in high altitude vineyards, they're gonna be very elegant, fine, refined wines. We probably, but the Alessandro knows more, the exception of Castellina, which is going to be a little bit extra structure, because that's part of the or what we find over there of the vineyard, where the vineyard is located. But that's our Gran Selezione. We don't think we're gonna label it as such, but it's gonna be pretty much it. A single vineyard, which on the back of the label will report of, let's say, the supply chain, the short supply chain, which is a single vineyard, and the farmer, the name of the farmer that's actually farmed together with us, help the vineyards to express and to grow together with us. So that's our concept in this case of Gran Selezione. So we're not probably looking necessarily for it. We could apply it on the label in the future, but the moment was, I think if you put too many concepts, you might distract the consumer. At the moment, it was just expression of different Sangiovese from 3 different towns.
Great, thank you.
Which actually, how do you say the stem, the logo of the villages, the heraldic design of the villages composed the historic logo of Geografico. So Geografico, Agricoltori del Geografico, had in the background the 3 heraldic designs of the 3 villages, Castellina, Gaiole, and Radda. So what we're gonna do, actually, we're gonna recreate it. We represent the logo pretty much in 3 different labels.
It's our idea of Gran Selezione.
Exactly.
Go ahead, guys. Next. Don't be shy.
If I may, I'll give you my quick feedback, and then I quickly will have to leave. I'd like to say I was pleasantly surprised by the Vernaccia. I quite liked the bright acidity, the citrus, really reminiscent of like a grapefruit, lemon, almost you know, greener lemons and that sort. But I also like the waxiness a lot more than the rest. It was a little more serious. Funny enough, Americans know San Gimignano a lot more than as Italians, in the sense that they travel to it. It's a destination for Americans. With all due respect, I've yet to meet anybody who has captured on the label a picture, somebody that will really say, oh, this is San Gimignano. The wine, it's very vibrant and very exciting. The label is not. Also, in the back, I would totally figure out a way to incorporate your history. You're a co-op. Tell me about it. You're working with somebody of the caliber of Cotarella. Well, how do I find out? How do I know? I know, Alessandro, you're signing the front of a label, but at the same time, you know, if you have somebody that carries weight, why not take advantage? When it comes to the Contessa di Radda, I love this wine. This is a wine that, even though it's a new world wine, I will enjoy it on a daily basis, based on the bright acidity and the easiness. I find that the wine, with the label and everything, it's not in connect. There's a serious disconnect. You don't say that it's a Merlot. If you are trying to sell a Merlot in the United States, everybody's going after for lushness, for broad shoulder, easiness, roundness. Instead of yours, it's a completely different Merlot. So when people are going to purchase that, are they going to go back and purchase it a second time? No, sure. So you have to ask yourself, you have to think of it with the consumer mindset, in my opinion. The Chianti Classico, it's quite lovely. I find it to be very precise, very lovely. I like the historical connotation that you have. The Chianti Classico Riserva, I thought it also was extremely well made, even though I think at that price point, you're not competitive. There's a lot of known co-op vineyards. They're very well established. They come in the States at a much lower price point. So I don't know if that's coming to shock, but my feedback. And obviously the 2 higher hand, your Brunello and La Pedra, they're interesting. They're your interpretation new, but yeah, definitely really, really good juice. That was my feedback. I hope I didn't shock you or anything?
It's honest. It's good.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a beauty of this word.
And I think the price point is still something that has a question mark, because it all depends from importer and the movement, the volume. So it's just a rough idea. It's not what ultimately I believe it would be. And please, guys, go ahead. Daniele, Adam, go.
I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you,
Bye,
Vito.
Vito.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Vito. Bye.
Leo, I'll jump in for you. Thank you for the tasting. It's a great opportunity to taste your wines. I've been working with restaurants, buying for them or selling to them, basically for the past 27 years. My parents both sold wine in New York. The one thing I will say, it's a very competitive market, but we all sell wine and we all grow our business. So it's a scary place, but if you do the right thing, it works. I will say that these wines are very clean. It's great to see someone that really takes the time to make wine the right way. There's a freshness, the acidity is there. I think you take it seriously. You're taking a stand with that. As buyers, we appreciate that. We don't want to see wines that are just too easy to drink. We want to see something that's going to challenge you a little bit. The wood treatment, I think, is really refreshing with what you guys are doing. As we said before, we need more proponents of Tuscany. We need it done in the right way. And too often now people are bringing wine to market with too much wood on it, or a lot of French barrique, which can be used the right way, but as a restaurateur, it's like salt. So I think what you're doing with wood is great. Use enough of it, but don't use too much. Let the fruit speak for itself. These wines are very Tuscan, and I really appreciate that. I think you're going the right way with that. I like the fact that you have a Merlot. I agree with Vito that you should probably present it a little better so people know what they're getting. With the market being as competitive as it is, you only get a couple of times to meet people, if not once. You should probably give them more of an idea, because if you see Toscano Rosso, you're probably not going to think of Merlot. I think I like the traditional side of this. I love the ideas. I love a good co-op. To me, I think we've seen Proditorio do so well in the past couple of years in the States, telling that story the right way. In the end, it's about quality. I think you're doing a very good job. The Brunello is also very surprisingly rich and fresh. Again, I find a lot of Brunellos come to market are very heavy with wood on them now. I thought that was done well. Without going too deep into it, I think that's my opinions on it. I really appreciate the opportunity to taste the wines, and we're in a very funny time right now where we actually have time to do these kind of things. But New York and a lot of the states will be coming back strong very soon.
And we're sure about it. Thank you, Adam,
Thank
for
you very much, Adam.
your feedback. Very much appreciated. Actually, I wanted to answer before to Vito, that unfortunately I had to run away, but
I'll do it for you. Don't worry.
Now, and which Adam actually mentioned again, the fact of a Merlot. First of all, in Europe, probably Contessa di Radda is a very important brand, and especially in Italy, but also in Germany and in UK. So by having the Contessa di Radda Toscana, we want to focus on the main brand and explain a little bit the style. What's the style of Contessa, and Radda is more actually important, or the single variety. I understand it's important to let people know that it's a Merlot, because people also want to, consumer wants to learn and say, okay, that's a Merlot. I want to learn how to know how Merlot expresses itself in the region. On the other hand, we are afraid that this could backfire because, as Vito said, you expect lushness and blah, 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 and other stuff from Merlot, but that's, again, it's quite different style of Merlot. So if someone is looking for a Merlot from Napa or a Merlot from Maremma, maybe they're going to buy this and they're going to find a very different profile. That's, for us, it's far more complicated to achieve. With this elegance, bring it up this elegance, so we actually investment for us, and with a consumer that looks for the certain ripe Merlot might be probably not happy at the end, and actually backfire. So something we thought about, but of course it's ongoing question. We question ourselves every year. We try, to make smarter decisions in terms of production, marketing, and sales every year. So
to your point, there's no Centennials that put Merlot on the label. So I understand your point. It's a very slippery slope with Merlot right now.
Yeah.
Daniele, isn't Casalferro always? I want your feedback. It's very important because you have been on the market in many years selling from Frescobaldi to stuff. I'm curious to see what you think about it.
Well, actually, I would like to say hi to Raffaele. Good to see you again. Alessandro, great explanations of the wine. Great job of what you do, and Giacomo, great marketing and PR work you do there. I have to tell you, the first Chianti I tasted was 1989. I was 16 when I started working in the restaurant business. So I go back a long time, and I was fortunate enough to have worked and represent in the restaurants many producers from. So Chianti in general, not just the Chianti Classico, has been always in my heart. But now we're talking now in my positions. I'm a national luxury director for Folio Fine Wine Partner. Gives me an opportunity in the past 5 years to recognize that my 25 years in New York kind of like put me in a bubble where as soon as I start traveling, I realized that there is more to the eyes. People still love. I gotta disagree with Vito. I know Vito for like 20 years. We work together. I like the labels because for me, I always see great producers. They have great juice in the bottle, but they miss the boat when it comes down to marketing. I represent a producer from Austria, for example, where they have a little bit of green color on the labels for the white wine. For Gruner, Gruner is fresh, it's ready to go, beautiful, vibrant. It's Allegria, we call it in Italy. And Vernaccia is the same. I look at the label, and I remember it was the first town I went with my wife 20 years ago to show her to Italy. We went to visit the town. We stayed there, and to have what people remember in this country, it's San Gimignano a lot. It's a place as tourists. So you have put the town in the label. The label has the sunflower colors, which is yellow. You put right in big letters Vernaccia, which really stands out to you. These are all marketing tools that for us working in the market, for people they have like between 70 to 50 to 40 years old, they've been traveling to Tuscany so many times. They remember Vernaccia. They remember those names. So it's like all the other grapes in Italy. It's a beautiful label. I only have 3 wines here, so I can only speak about the Contessa di Radda. Chianti, for me, it's a traditional, it's classic, it's history. So well represented, it's a nice, beautiful label. And also the Brunello di Montalcino that I have in front of me. So you have captured those characteristics that can really take you to the next level of when you see the wine on the shelf in the wine stores, or when you see behind the bar, people recognize Chianti and they see an historic face on the Chianti Classico label of this beautiful lady. And then you see 40 years anniversary. Then you look at the Vernaccia and you have a bright color that just stands out of you. These are all marketing tools that if you don't really think about it a lot, you can be lost in the middle of like 200 to 500 labels shelf. I gotta tell you something. I'm also kind of like pure wines, and but at the same time, I think the stigma of cooperative that has been portrayed in this country for a long time. I remember in 1997 coming over here, I was tasting wines at Babbo, working at Babbo in New York, and people were like, "Oh, you have tasting wines with sales reps," and I say, "Oh, this is a cooperative." And everybody was going crazy. No, I want a producer. I want to know who it is. I gotta tell you something. Your wine has a sense of place for me. I think they have a sense of style. They really represent the area. What Alto Adige has done to us has shown us in the international world that cooperative can still produce great wines. And if you have names like Cotarella and a winemaker behind the bottle, Alessandro, and the people that actually can talk about the wine, at this point, it doesn't matter if it's cooperative or not. It's about what is in the bottle. So I tell you, great job for me. Price-wise, I agree with Vito. Maybe there is some great competitions. I think Chianti is having a second renaissance. It went to a very slippery, sloppy moment in America where it's almost disappeared, Chianti Classico, especially from shelves. And And that's why the consortium have invested a lot in the past 5 years in people who work in the market here, people in providing international education classes. What is Raffaele doing today? Continue doing the great work you're doing. There's going to be some wines that really don't go for everybody, but I think you are on the right directions. The price is very important here, though. It's really, really important. You got to come out with the right price, and you can grow from there. If you come out too high, going back is a sign of weakness most of the time. So you can always grow.
Thank you.
Sentences, but congratulations.
Thank you, Daniele, for the great words, but also for the precise and very specific analysis. Yeah, well, on our side, we can only say that we spend a lot of time to rebrand and redesign these labels, and yeah, we really thought throughout it on the better way. Our designers, we elaborated so many variants, and the final idea was to keep the original designs, but just to refresh in a modern way, an elegant way, give less importance probably to the Chianti Classico before the previous labels were Chianti Classico bag stated in the front of the label for off-trade market. And so we put it down Chianti Classico, put it in a more elegant way. We just retouch the counters in a very smooth way.
And I want to add one more thing, because this is very important what you're saying. And I'm sorry, Raffaele, I'm going to take like 1 minute. There is a very interesting idea now that the younger generations of new sommeliers, they really like funky labels and name and picture from little kids or something nice. And it's good. It's really good. It's that kind of like a part of the age that young kids, they're learning about wine likes, for example, you know, funny labels. But you also can't forget the 35 to 85 years old customers that you have in this country, so you can never please everybody, but I think you're doing a good job.
And for us, it's important. We cannot follow the fashion. We are, I think, stronger than fashion because in this case, we had to defend an heritage and history. With new projects, and we are with Piccini, of course, we entangle. We always working on new projects in terms of communication, distribution, new wines, new labels. We can play, you know, freely as much as we want. But when you go on heritage to protect it, you cannot say, okay, nowadays that's the direction, we go that way, and forget about the past, because that's when if we do that, we can't come back. Or if we come back, we have already lost what we created over the years, what the people behind this estates created over the years. Estate is not anymore a cooperative, because of course it's been bought by the family, but of course it is maintaining the same concept with different way of production, of course. And Alessandro, it's funny you mentioned Frescobaldi, but Alessandro Barabesi comes from Frescobaldi, worked as a winemaker in the main facility in Florence for 3 years. So there's always a connection now among skilled producer and skilled teams.
Daniele, thank you very much. And Giacomo, don't worry, because like we used to say in Italy, there is a 1-to-1. We can put the ball in the middle. Let's listen something really quickly from our guest, the last hour guest that we can talk to. There is Federico. We didn't heard anything about it.
Ciao guys, Federico from Sofia Wine Bar. Some of you already know me. Well, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate to be here with you today, and the selection that we have today, I love it. It's very clean, neat, and I do appreciate it. So some of my friends, they're here, they already know me, and they know that I don't drink white wine. And when I got the Vernaccia, you know Daniele, right? I got the Vernaccia, was very cold and chill, and I closed my eyes, and I already picture myself in Italian Riviera with a nice seafood dish, and I already enjoy it. So for me, it's such a big deal. because, as I said, I don't like wine. I always a big fan of red heavy, and this Vernaccia really take my my attention. So it's definitely something that I would like to have in my place, that I would like to sell and recommend it. And honestly, against Vito, I don't mind the label. As Daniele said, the label reflect the city and so forth. So definitely, I'm on with the Vernaccia. For the other product, I'm interested in the Merlot, and as everybody say, the Merlot should be pushed a little bit more on the label and describe something. I'm a more big fan of heavy and juicy round Merlot, but this thing is very interesting, and is something that that definitely can be here in the market. But again, as the other co-workers say, has to be explained a little bit more and expressed a little bit more. I have a question for La Pevera. So you say that there is 10% of Syrah, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys use the Syrah for other of your wine, or just for this one?
Well, at the beginning, the Syrah went on the Chianti Classico Geografico, the base wine of Geografico. But then we found another way to use it.
Okay. And do you guys have use Cabernet Franc or no? Not at all.
Well, we have a small part of Cabernet Franc in a couple of wine growers, and actually we put in the Chianti Classico Geografico. We start a project to. I have to know my cellar, my grapes, my wine, and we start to do a separate vinification parcel, area, and type of varieties to start to new these varieties. Maybe in the future can be something apart by itself. At this moment, no.
Yeah, and also because, as Alessandro said, I think that's true both for the Franc and the Syrah. It's the amount of grapes that you can find it, and the quality grapes, quality grape growers that you find in these areas. So, you know, they're not normally the grape growers and the vineyards. There's not massive, large production, as it happens in other probably villages where of the Chianti Classico, not massive, but probably bigger vineyards on the board in a less steep hills. In this area, yeah, there's not much of the lots of international grape varieties, and especially with the Syrah and Cabernet Franc, it's very limited at the moment.
Was in your mind to blend an La Pevere or no? Just you never thought about it?
No.
Okay.
We have before we have to help the wine growers that have Cabernet Franc to grow up the quality of the grapes, and then we can discuss about putting a wine like La Pevera. So first of all, we have to work in the vineyards. So helping, I go every years, every time when I can in vineyards with wine growers to help them to find something a level up on the vineyard, to give us a grape with a high quality.
Visto che è buono, ne piglio un altro po' io. Questo va bene per gli americani comunque, eh? Buon lavoro.
È passato
Alessandra, visto che Alessandra purtroppo se n'è scappata a Roma, ma tu o papà, perché Alessandra, raccontati un attimo chi sei. Immagino
che Alessandra.
I will be short. You're right, but I was missing Rome a lot. I just saw today the new wine shop of the family, and it's amazing. So I'm completely into wine now again. I say, okay, I go in Rome to be distracted. No, I can't. I really appreciate the meeting. I thank you all. And I really appreciate the opinion. I agree with most of them. It's really key for us to have good quality and good price to sell, especially for Tuscany, especially for this wine. I really can see a different type of work for me that I have to sell it, and different type of communication that I have to do behind the labels that we have. It's good to have so many different type of labels and have different emotion. For the Brunello, it's the wine to laugh with. Everybody's looking for a Brunello. If we have a good wine with a good price, I really enjoy to sell it. The same with Vernaccia, it make it curious, the sale. So I really like to have a different type of product to play more with. And then, of course, the blended and the typical Chianti that everybody is looking for. Of course, the competition, especially in New York, is really high. So we have to work hard. And over here, more than all the other, communicate the really main thought about the winery and the winemakers and the owner and whoever work with them. To bring the product like you want to communicate that to all of our customers. I really appreciate the meeting, and I'm looking forward also to taste the wine again with all of you in New York.
Or in Italy, or in Italy if you
or in Italy.
Or in Italy, yeah, for sure.
If you come over. Thank you, Alessandro.
Thank
you very much, Alessandra.
Guys,
too.
any other question? Feel free if you want to ask any question. Otherwise, we'll send the Italian to the siesta. You know, it's like
yes,
6,
I think we are already running out of time. But if there is some impression more, do you want to keep out?
No. I actually gotta go because I have another Zoom meeting.
Yes.
But I want to thank you for the opportunity. You guys doing a really good job. So continue the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniele.
Giacomo, feel free to, because I'm curious also about the pricing of the Brunello. So feel free to share an email with even the prices that they are at the winery, what the winery is selling for, because we can do an analysis of what makes sense or not, because it is one of my favorite out of the entire line of the 6 of them.
La Pevra is 60 and 70 for Brunello.
Okay. Va bene.
Important also in price.
Let me say, it's we talk about the issues on trade, of course. I say, you asked Raffaele a suggestion how to tackle what is going very well, the Geografico, among the estates managed and owned by the family. But it's actually a very good market for the Geografico. We found out is the e-commerce. So it's probably the best performing brand together with Torremora, our estate on the Etna. I think again because of the quality of the wine.
Which is with MS Walker.
Again?
Which is represented MS Walker in New York. I know Torremora.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. That's part of the acquisition of Piccini. I remember it was the James Sackling in February. Raffaele, you weren't there, but there was
Gaetano.
That we all have in common. That he's not here.
I already left.
Piccini.
Huh?
I know.
Probably Gaetano da Flitto.
Gaetano. Yes.
Yeah.
And so together with Torremora, Geografico is doing very well in e-commerce. So something that we push in a lot. Though in Europe, it's easier for us to manage as we go. We go a lot directly, and so direct sales in e-commerce is now is covering 1% of the whole turnover of the group, which can guarantee big numbers, and that goes on top of all the sales that our partner located in different European countries do by itself with their e-commerce. Of course, we are a little bit far behind that USA, or something that one of our goal would be also to be well placed on the e-commerce.
Giacomo, thank you very much, and I want to thank you again, all the dream team, like we used to call from now ahead. thank you very much, Leonardo, to put on these professionals all together. And thank you to Alessandra to be connected with us from Italy, also in some days of relaxing time. I'm really happy to meet Fabrizio today and other guys. So I think we did really pretty almost everything of what we can say about Geografico. I personally think they are still growing because you bring an important sign inside, like Riccardo Cotarella, but we need to have Alessandro on top of it. It means that every year they can always understand something. Also, if they are Geografico, every year there is a different vintage, and every year they can still making better wine. I trust in them from the beginning because when I used to taste wine, they are always there with different names, with the other producers. So keep going, guys, and thank you very much to trust in our communication and at the same time of what you are doing.
We'll wait for you in New York, ok? Vi aspettiamo a New York, ragazzi. Un big lounge. The official lounge will be with all of us together.
With great pleasure, with great pleasure. Yeah. Thank you, Raffaele. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao, ragazzi. Grazie,
Thank you.
David.